Have you ever found yourself making excuses not to have to receive visitors? How do you pretend you're not home when the doorbell rings? Or do you feel an oppressive feeling in your chest just at the thought that someone could come by unannounced? If you answered yes to any of these questions, prepare for a revelation that could completely change your perception of yourself. Carl Jung, the revolutionary Swiss psychologist, discovered something fascinating. Your aversion to visits is not just a personal preference or ordinary shyness. It is actually a direct window to the deepest secrets of your soul. What Jung found out about people like you goes far beyond any superficial explanation you've ever heard. There is a hidden world at work in your mind, ancient forces that control your behavior, and psychic mechanisms so powerful that they can determine not only how you relate to others, but who you really are at your innermost core. Today you're going to discover truths about your personality that you didn't even know existed. 1. The secret fear you carry without knowing it. Deep in your soul lurks something that you have never really understood. It's like a shadow that follows you everywhere, but you've learned to overlook it. Jung called it the original horror, the primal fear of being devoured. When people come to your home, something invisible happens inside you. Your soul senses a threat that has nothing to do with the real situation. This fear is ancient. It comes from a time when strangers actually meant danger, but your unconscious does not distinguish between then and now. It still reacts as if every visit threatens your survival. This explains why your heart beats faster when it rings, why your hands get clammy, why you suddenly feel like you have to hide. Jung discovered that people like you are particularly sensitive to energetic invaders. Other people bring their emotions, their problems, all their emotional burden into your home, and you feel it more intensely than most. Your system registers every change in the atmosphere. It's like you have invisible antennae that catch everything. Most people don't understand that. They think you're just unfriendly or weird, but the truth is much deeper. You have developed a natural protective reaction because your soul knows what others don't. That interpersonal contact means real, energetic work. That every conversation, every encounter costs a part of your life force. This fear manifests itself in many forms. Sometimes it is a physical malaise. Sometimes a sudden urge to flee. Sometimes just a heavy feeling in the chest. But it is always your soul that tries to protect you. She knows you're different, that you feel more, perceive more, process more than others. Jung understood that these people have a special gift. They can see and feel things that are hidden from others, but with this gift comes a burden. The burden of living in a world that is too loud, too fast, too superficial. A world that doesn't understand and doesn't appreciate your sensibilities. So your fear is not pathological or wrong. It is a sign of your special nature, an indication that you belong to a rare group of people who experience life more intensely, who feel deeper, who understand more. But that's exactly what makes dealing with others so exhausting for you. The next time you feel fear rising when visitors come, remember, it's not your weakness that is talking. It is your strength that protects itself. It is your soul that knows what is good for you. And that leads us directly to the place that is holier to you than any other. 2. Why your home is your holy temple. Your home is not just a place where you sleep and eat. Jung realized that some people turn their living space into something magical, a temple of the soul. And that's exactly what you did without realizing it. Every object, every corner, every color in your home tells the story of your innermost world. After your soul has learned to protect itself from the energetic invaders, it has begun to create a safe space. This space has become your home. Your rules rule here. Here your energy is pure and undisturbed. Here you can finally be yourself without masks, without compromises, without the effort to please others. Jung called such places temenos, sacred spaces in which transformation becomes possible. Your home is your personal temenos. Every inch of it is permeated by your soul. The way the light enters, the order of your things, even the air itself, everything carries your energetic signature. When strangers enter this room, something tremendous happens. They bring their own energy, their thoughts, their emotions, their problems. Suddenly, your sacred space is no longer pure. The atmosphere changes. You feel like someone is rummaging inside you, like someone touching your most secret treasures without understanding what they mean. That's why you often feel so exhausted after visiting. It's not just because of the conversation or the social interaction. It is because your sacred space has been disturbed. Your soul then has to spend hours or even days restoring the original harmony. She has to energetically cleanse every corner until it is all yours again. Many people don't understand why you're so picky about your home, why certain chairs are just for you, why you don't want others to touch your stuff, why you get nervous when someone stays too long. You only see the surface. They don't understand that your home is an extension of your soul. Jung realized that people like you have a special relationship with spaces. You feel the history of a place. You can feel the emotions stored in the walls. You instinctively know if a room is good or bad for you. This ability makes you a natural keeper of space. You create places of healing and peace without consciously wanting to. In your home, you are connected to your true nature. This is where your energy flows freely. Here you can dream, think, feel without interruption. Here you can hear the voice of your soul, which is often drowned out in the outside world by the noise and chaos of other people. That's why it's so important that you learn to set boundaries. Not everyone deserves access to your temple. Not everyone can understand and respect the sacredness of this space. Your soul knows that. It sends you signals when someone doesn't belong here. And these signals lead us to the next important point. 3. What your energies are really trying to tell you. Your soul communicates with you constantly, but not with words. It uses a much older language, the language of energy. Now that you understand why your home is so sacred, it's time to learn what your inner energies are trying to tell you. Jung was convinced that the body never lies, and your energetic reactions to people are messages of your deepest wisdom. If you feel your energy sink before visitors arrive, it's no coincidence. If your belly contracts when certain people call, it's not imagination. If you feel like you've been sucked dry after social encounters, that's not a weakness. They are all messages from your soul trying to guide and protect you. Jung discovered that some people are natural energy detectors. You are one of these people. You can feel the emotional state of others before they say a word. You notice when someone is lying, even if you don't know why. You feel the heaviness in a room when there was an argument. You perceive what others overlook. This gift is both a blessing and a curse. A blessing because it protects you from harmful people and situations. A curse because it can isolate you from the world if you don't learn to deal with it. Your energies are like a highly sensitive radar system. They constantly scan your surroundings for threats and opportunities. When people are energetic vampires, people who suck others dry, you feel it immediately. Your system sounds the alarm. You feel uncomfortable, tired, irritable. Your soul is trying to tell you, this person is not good for you. Keep your distance. But often you ignore these signals because society teaches you to be polite and friendly. That's a mistake. Your energetic reactions are more precise than any rational analysis. They are based on millions of years of evolution. They kept your ancestors alive, and they try to protect you too. If you learn to listen to them, you will become much wiser in your decisions. Jung taught that modern man has lost touch with his instincts, but you don't. You are still connected to the original wisdom of your body. If your energy tells you that you need to be alone, then you really need to be alone. If she tells you that certain people aren't good for you, they're right. The problem is that the world doesn't work that way. Society expects you to always be available, that you welcome everyone, that you are friendly and open. But that goes against your natural wisdom. This forces you to live against your own nature. And that makes you sick and unhappy. Your energies are also trying to tell you something else. You are different. You need different things than most people. You need more rest, more peace, more time alone. You need fewer but deeper contacts. You need people who understand and respect your sensitivity, and you need the courage to stand by this difference. When you begin to listen to your energies, you will find that they lead you to a more authentic life, to relationships that are really good for you, to a way of living that corresponds to your true nature. But to do that, you first have to understand how to survive in the world out there. And that brings us to the mask you put on every day. By the way, if you're curious to go even deeper and integrate your shadows and light, check out the SIM Method ebook. It's a compact guide that can help you unleash your inner power in just 5 minutes a day. The link is in the first pinned comment below. 4. The social mask you wear every day. Jung gave this mask a name, persona. It is the face that you show to the world while your true self remains safely hidden. After you have learned to listen to your energies, you will realize why you need this mask in the first place. The world is too harsh for your tender soul, so you have developed a protective layer, a personality that works, that is adapted, that does not scare others. This mask is a masterpiece of deception. She smiles when you want to cry. She talks when you want to be silent. She is helpful when you actually need help. She makes small talk, even though your soul thirsts for deep, meaningful conversations. It's the opposite of who you really are, but it keeps you alive in a world that often misinterprets sensitivity as weakness. The tragic thing is that this mask has turned out so well that sometimes even you forget who you really are underneath. You play the role so convincingly that you begin to believe that this is your true self. You think you need to be more sociable, more open. You fight against your own nature because you think it's normal and right. But Jung knew the persona is only a tool. It is not your identity. Behind this mask hides your authentic self. Wild, sensitive, profound, different. This true self is the reason why you don't like visits. It's too pure, too vulnerable, too precious to show it to everyone. So you hide it behind the persona and only show the world what it wants to see. The problem arises when the line between persona and true self becomes blurred. When you play a role for so long that you don't know where the game ends and where you start, then you feel empty, tired, meaningless. You live a life that is not yours. You meet expectations that don't suit you. You have become a stranger in your own life. The good news is, your aversion to visits shows that your true self is still alive. It rebels against the persona. It refuses to always just act. It longs for authenticity, for real moments, for the possibility of simply being yourself. That's why you feel so much better at home. There you can remove the mask. There you can breathe. Jung taught that the healthiest people are those who know the difference between their persona and their true selves, who can consciously put on and take off their mask. They know when they have to act and when they can be authentic. You are developing this wisdom right now. Your refusal to receive everyone is a step in that direction. You learn to distinguish between people you have to show your mask to and people who are allowed to see your true face. Between encounters that have to remain superficial and relationships that can go deep. Between moments where you have to function and moments where you can just be. This distinction is a fine art. It requires courage, wisdom, and self-knowledge. But if you master them, you will become freer than most people. You will know who you really are. You will be able to have authentic relationships, and you will understand why your loneliness is not the problem, but the solution. 5. The hidden treasure of your loneliness. What most people see as your problem is actually your greatest strength. Jung understood something that the rest of the world has overlooked. Loneliness is not the opposite of love. It is the prerequisite for real love. After realizing how much energy it takes to wear a mask all the time, you realize why your soul thirsts for solitude. In silence, you find your way back to yourself. Your solitude is a sacred space, just like your home. But this space is not physical, it is psychic. Here, in the depths of your loneliness, the most important encounters of your life happen. Here, you will meet parts of yourself that you have never seen before. Here, you will find answers to questions you haven't even asked yet. This is where your soul grows. People who are constantly among others have no chance for these inner encounters. They are so busy with the voices from the outside that they cannot hear the voice from within. They don't really know themselves. They don't know what they want, what they need, who they are. But you have this gift of self-knowledge because you have the courage to be alone. In your solitude, you develop what Jung called individual wholeness. You become a complete human being, not just a half-human being who seeks the other part in others. You learn to keep yourself company. You discover your inner richness. You find out that you have everything you need to be happy. This inner completeness makes you more independent of the opinion and affection of others. You don't need outside validation because you know who you are. You don't need superficial contacts because you have a deep relationship with yourself. You don't need constant conversation because you've learned to enjoy silence. Jung realized that the deepest and wisest people are often those who spend a lot of time alone. They are not lonely in the negative sense. They are alone in the positive sense. They have learned to use loneliness as a source of strength, as a place of regeneration, as a space for creativity and inspiration. In your loneliness, you are connected to something bigger than yourself. Jung called it the collective unconscious, the common heritage of all people. Here you will find universal truths. Here you understand not only yourself, but all of humanity. Here you develop wisdom, compassion, and deeper understanding. Your ability to be alone without being lonely is a sign of mental health. It shows that you have a stable inner world, that you are not dependent on others for your well-being, that you've learned to be your own best friend. This independence is a real strength. But there is also a dark side to your loneliness. Sometimes it uses your unconscious against you. Sometimes it becomes a hiding place from life instead of a preparation for life. Sometimes she sabotages your relationships before they even have a chance. And that brings us to a difficult but important topic. 6. How your unconscious sabotages your relationships. This is where it gets complicated. Your loneliness, which is actually a treasure, can turn against you. Jung discovered that the unconscious acts as its own being. It has its own plans and intentions, and sometimes it wants to protect you from relationships that would actually be good for you. Sometimes self-protection turns into self-sabotage. Your unconscious has learned that relationships can mean pain. It remembers every disappointment, every betrayal, every hurt. It has created a blacklist of everything that could harm you. And unfortunately, not only the really dangerous people are on it, but also the harmless ones. Even the ones that could actually be good for you. This is how sabotage works. If someone gets too close, your unconscious activates all your defense mechanisms. You suddenly find 1,000 reasons why this person is not a good fit for you. You become overcritical. You look for mistakes. You withdraw before anything bad can happen. You strike before you get hit. The perfidious thing about it is that it feels completely rational. You really think that this person is not the right one. You truly believe that there are better reasons to stay alone. You don't notice that your unconscious is pulling the strings, that it manipulates your perception, that it protects you from something that may not be dangerous at all. Jung called this projection. You project your inner fears onto other people. You see in them the threats that are actually within you. You are fighting windmills. You defend yourself against attacks that will never come. You build walls against people who actually want to build bridges. The tragic thing is that this sabotage often happens to the people who are most like you, with those who might understand your sensitivity, with those who feel as deeply as you do, for those who are looking for real connections, not just superficial entertainment. Of all people, these people are classified as a threat by your unconscious, because real closeness means real vulnerability. Your unconscious prefers safe solitude to risky connection. It chooses controlled isolation over chaotic love. It chooses the predictable emptiness over the unpredictable abundance. And there are good reasons for this, but they are not always the right reasons. The solution is not to fight your unconscious. That wouldn't work. The solution lies in understanding it and negotiating with it, to show him that not all people are dangerous, that some risks are worth taking, that love is possible, even for someone like you. This requires courage and awareness. You have to learn to recognize when your defenses are justified and when they exaggerate. You have to distinguish between real red flags and imaginary threats. You need to understand the difference between healthy caution and paralyzing fear. If you can do that, you'll discover something wonderful. You will realize that your otherness is not only a problem, but also a gift that other people need and appreciate, and that leads us to a realization that will change everything. 7. The rare gift that few can recognize in you. You're not just someone who doesn't like visits. You are a keeper of the deep in a superficial world. Jung realized that people like you have a special mission. You are the keepers of the human soul. After understanding how your unconscious sometimes works against you, it's time to realize what it's actually fighting for. Your unique gift. Your sensitivity is not your weakness, it's your superpower. You can perceive things that are hidden from others. You feel the unspoken emotions in a room. You recognize the lies behind the kind words. You see the beauty that others overlook. You understand the connections that are too complex for others. This gift makes you a natural healer, even if you don't consciously seek it. People feel safe in your presence. They open up to you more than to others. They tell you their secrets. They seek advice and comfort from you. You attract soulmates like a magnet, but only those who are really ready for depth. That's why superficial people avoid you or don't understand you. They instinctively sense that you would see more of them than they want to show, that you could see through their masks, that you could ask questions that they don't dare to ask themselves, that you would live an authenticity that puts them to shame. Jung called people like you wounded healers. Through your own pain and loneliness, you have developed a wisdom that can help others. You understand suffering because you have suffered. You know the darkness because you have passed through it. You can show others the way because you have walked it yourself. Your refusal to maintain superficial contacts is a service to humanity. You show that there is another way, that you don't have to let everyone in. That quality is more important than quantity. That real relationships need time and space to grow. You exemplify what authenticity means. In a world that is getting louder, faster, and more superficial, you are a rock in the surf. You remind us that there are other values, that silence is precious, that depth is possible, that not everything has to be available immediately. You are a living example of how you can live differently. Your gift is especially valuable to people who are looking for depth themselves, who are tired of the superficiality of the world, who long for real encounters, who want to understand who they really are. These people recognize you as a like-minded person, an ally, a signpost. But this gift also brings responsibility. You must learn to use them wisely. You can't save every person. You can't heal every emotional wound. You can't alleviate every loneliness. You must guard your energy and give it to those who can truly appreciate and use it. The people who recognize your gift will not just stand at your door and ring the bell. They will understand that you need time, that you need space, that you need respect. They will be patient. They will wait. They will earn your friendship instead of taking it for granted. That's the beauty of your way of life. It automatically filters out the right people, those who understand you, the ones that are good for you, those who are ready for real connection. And that brings us to the most important point of all. 8. The transformation that will change your life forever. Now that you have understood everything, your secret fears, your sacred space, your energetic messages, your social mask, the treasure of your loneliness, the sabotage of your unconscious and your rare gift, the most important realization is before you. Jung called it individuation, the process by which you become the person you're really meant to be. And this process begins with a radical self-acceptance. Transformation doesn't start with you changing. It starts with you stopping wanting to change, that you finally understand you're not broken, you're not wrong, you're not sick, you are different. And this otherness is not your curse, but your gift to the world. This realization will change everything in how you see yourself and how you live. When you stop fighting against your nature, something magical happens. You become more authentic, truer, powerful. You stop wasting energy trying to be someone else. You begin to use this energy for who you really are. You become a magnet for the right people and circumstances. This transformation also means that you learn to say no without feeling guilty. You understand that every yes to something that doesn't suit you is a no to what would really enrich your life. You develop healthy boundaries. You become more selective with your time, your energy, your attention. And that's a good thing. Jung taught that the second half of life should be different from the first. In the first half, we try to adapt. We learn the rules of society. We develop our persona. We work. But the second half is about finding ourselves, to live our true nature, to become authentic. You can start this transformation at any age. The first step is to accept your uniqueness. You need to stop apologizing for needing rest, that you need time alone, that you don't want to let every person into your life, that you function differently than the majority. This acceptance is the cornerstone of everything else. The second step is to consciously shape your life. You stop being passive. You take control. You consciously decide who is allowed to have access to you and who is not. You create structures that support your sensitivity instead of fighting it. You live by your own rules, not those of others. The third step is to integrate your shadows. You realize that even your difficult sides, your defenses, your fears, your withdrawal, have a purpose. You no longer fight against them, but learn to see them as allies. You will find a healthy way of dealing with your darkness. This transformation leads to what Jung called the authentic self. You become the person you've always been, but never dared to be. You live your truth. You follow your own path. You listen to your inner voice. You become free from the expectations of others. This does not mean that you will become a recluse. It means that you consciously choose when and with whom you surround yourself. You develop a fine sense of which people and situations are good for you and which are not. You learn to guard your energy like a precious treasure. The people around you will feel this change. Some will be confused. They won't understand why you've suddenly become so picky, why you're not as available as you used to be, why you draw boundaries. That's normal. Not everyone will understand or approve of your transformation, but the right people will understand. They will appreciate your new authenticity. They will respect that you stand by yourself. They will realize that you have not become less loving as a result, but wiser, that you have not become closed but more selective, that you have not become unfriendly but more self-confident. This transformation is not easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and self-compassion. There will be moments when you doubt, in which you think it would be easier to be the same as before, in which you ask yourself if you are doing the right thing. That's normal. Every real change is associated with uncertainty. But if you persevere, you'll experience something that most people never experience. You'll fully know and accept yourself. You will live in peace with your nature. You will have real, deep relationships with people who truly understand you. You will live a life that authentically suits you. Jung believed that every human being has the right and duty to become their true selves. You're well on your way there. Your aversion to superficial visits was the first step. She was your soul telling you, there is another way. You don't have to live like everyone else. Keep listening to that voice. It will lead you to the life you were born to live.